Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Princess Secrets. We're here every Friday night, the Princess Secret Show. Thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening. My name is Norma Bryant Howard, and I am your host this evening, coming to you live from Studio 2020. And where I live in the state of Kentucky, it's been raining, well, basically all day. When the sun came out a little bit earlier, I'm thinking the weather is going to change. It's going to be great. It's going to be a sunny, warm Friday night. Wrong. The rain came back, but that's okay because with rain or sunshine, we know that we are blessed. We definitely are blessed, and I feel so blessed having you joining us this evening on the Princess Secret Show. Norman Brian Howard. You'll find us here every Friday night at this exact same time, 7 o'clock Eastern and 4 o'clock Pacific, and those two time zones in between. So thank you so much for deciding to come and join us and spending a little bit of time with us this evening. Now, for the people who come in and see our show every Friday night, they know that I make this appeal every Friday night, and the appeal that I make is please tag at least, well, usually I say 4 or 5, but tonight I'm going to say please tag at least 10 people who you feel could benefit from seeing tonight's show. And also, would you please join my YouTube channel and hit that like and share button. And it has a whole lot to do with the algorithms. That's what I hear YouTube saying and Instagram saying and Facebook saying, because the way it goes, you need more algorithms. And that lets them know how many people are really just taking the time to come and see my show on Friday night. So for those who are joining us, welcome. For those who are on their way, we just can't wait for you to come on in, and we'll be here hanging out for at least 30, 40 minutes. We do that every Friday night. I don't rush any of my guests. If they have a message that they want to say, they want to talk about, I don't rush them. I just let them have the floor. But usually we're probably somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes when we come on. So once again, please, I want you to join my YouTube channel and hit that like and share button. And that'll mean a whole lot to me. It really will. So I feel so blessed this evening to have this extraordinary young lady who decided to spend some time with us tonight. And I say she's extraordinary because, from taking Bible classes and being in church all my life, I do know that God selects people to do certain jobs in life and spread a message of hope and a message of opportunity, whether they're ready for it or not. He's always done it since biblical days, and he will continue to do it. And the same way I feel about our guest this evening, I think that he has selected her to spread a message of hope, a message of determination, a message of confidence among so many people in the world, especially among ladies in the world. So I am more than delighted to have our guest joining us this evening. And I'm going to tell you what her name is before she even tells you what her name is. This is Miss Amber Spratt-Jones, and she is a confidence coach. And if you don't know what a confidence coach is, we're going to meet her tonight. So here she is. Without further ado, we have Miss Amber Spratt-Jones, confidence coach. And I would like for her just to introduce herself, and because, as they say, inquiring minds want to know. So who are you and where'd you come from?
Thank you, Miss Norma. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Amber Spratt-Jones. Like she said, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. However, I'm currently located in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, I'm 36. I'm single. I don't have any kids. I'm out here walking full time in my ministry and my purpose. And so, yes, I'm so delighted to share my story. It is definitely one of inspiration, of hope, and God has his hand all over it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here. But that is a little bit about myself. And I'm excited. Hi, everybody.
Wow. And I'm sure everyone from Louisville will ask you the same question. Do you like Atlanta?
I do. I do. I love it. I love the season in my life. I love why I'm here. I know why I'm here. So that makes me love it even more. But yeah, I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so it's about 5 after the hour, and I want to really, as they say, get into the meat and the gravy. Get into the meat and the gravy. So my question to you is, what is your platform? How did you get started with this platform? And just tell the audience a little bit about that because they're very much interested in the platform that you represent. And are there many people representing the platform that you're on right now? So just tell us a little bit about that, Amber.
Well, thank you, Miss Norma. So my platform is I started on YouTube as Watch Amber. That's my YouTube name. And so on my channel, I dedicated my channel to sharing very personal stories about my life and using those stories to share the lessons that I've learned to hopefully help others. Well, I had mentioned things like my abortion. I had mentioned things like my abusive relationships that I was in my past. I had mentioned all of these things that had happened to me, but the one I was holding on to the most was my herpes diagnosis. That was the one that I was very, very apprehensive with sharing with anybody. And for a long time, I did not share it. So I was diagnosed with HSV2, which is herpes, in 2018. And I fast forward to 2020 in December is when I finally told my story on YouTube. So God had put it in my heart that he wanted me to share this. It was not something that I had ever planned to do. It was truly, like you said in the intro, whether you're prepared for it or not, God will put you in position and he'll put a purpose on you. And so it was mine to fulfill, and I didn't even really know it. So my YouTube story, titled Herpes Saved My Life, was an act of obedience. And that's what I did. I put it out there to the public, scared to death, but knowing that I was doing what God wanted me to do. And in that process, something amazing happened. I was contacted by another advocate in the community, and her and I partnered together, and we formed the business Herpes Could Never. And we have a mission at Herpes Could Never, and we are at war with the herpes stigma until our community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. So I've now made my life around helping women, men, helping all people see their value and their worth outside of their herpes diagnosis. And so that's a little bit about my platform. And I've been doing that since December of 2020. And it's only taken off exponentially since that day.
Well, I think that is absolutely wonderful because having various diagnoses. I know people who have had a diagnosis, let's just say cancer, and they won't tell it. They won't tell. I used to work with a lady, and she eventually died. She had it, and everybody was like, "Well, what happened to her?" She had a diagnosis of cancer. Well, that's been probably 25 or 30 years ago. But I think that it is incredible that God is using you in the way that He is, because I would assume that people from around the world need to hear your story. They need to hear your message. So have you ever been contacted by people from around the nation or around the world, or just how have you been contacted?
Absolutely. So I have personal life coaching clients all over the world. So all over the United States, in Canada, and Australia, and the Dominican Republic. So internationally, I have clients because herpes affects all people. Herpes is very, very common, much more common than people like to discuss, because there's so much shame around being diagnosed with anything. Just like the example you gave, even something like cancer, even things that, a lot of people who have herpes, they were given it without choice, or they didn't know that they didn't have any control over contracting it. Just like someone being diagnosed with cancer, sometimes you don't have control, but there's still this shame attached to feeling like something is wrong with you, or now that I have this, I'm less than according to society, so I can't open my mouth and share it. But I've definitely, have clients all over the world, and people all over the world are impacted by the story and the transparency, and touched by it and inspired by it. So it's definitely the most fulfilling thing I've ever done.
So I like that, touched by it, and they're inspired by it, because if they can see a beautiful young lady like you who was willing to share her story with the world, then maybe they can say, well, I can, do something about it, and I can share a little bit, and I can do a little teaching, a little inspiring, and and let people know that it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be
Absolutely.
ashamed of. And I think that's the very, very first thing that people would think about is the shame, and we've had so many stigmas in this country and in the world that, it's just gone from generation to generation. But I think that that is really, really great. Now, when I was
Thank you.
perusing, I love that word, when I was perusing
I
the
like that word too.
Instagram, and I saw on your post you had like 3 tips. What was it? 3 tips for dating. 3 tips with dating with
Yes.
herpes, because some ladies might feel, well, I'm young, I'm beautiful, and I will never be able to date again. And I noticed that you had that on your Instagram. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that class that you had?
Yes, ma'am. So I actually made a YouTube video around tips for people with herpes, and it's really universal. Anyone can benefit from these tips. And my main tip is the number one thing is learn how to accept yourself. Because when you accept yourself fully, someone else's acceptance does not mean as much. And so I find that people are definitely concerned, trying to navigate dating and having herpes. But I also find that herpes is not a deterrent for a lot of people who might be interested in you. And if it is, then that's not the person for you. But a lot of times, people in our community who are diagnosed with herpes are sharing with potential dates, hey, I have herpes, and the dates are like, okay, that's fine. We'll navigate through this. But the person diagnosed still feels insecure, still second guesses. Oh, what if
Mm.
they're, one day they're not going to like me? Or am I sure that I'm confident enough to even entertain a relationship? And so do the work first to accept yourself before you're looking to go out here and seek acceptance for someone else. And that applies for everybody, but especially people in our community who are really seeking to be accepted by society now that they feel like they have herpes and society's not going to accept them. So do the work first. And then I go into a lot more detail over on YouTube, but that's my main key, because dating is a big topic in our community, because you feel like no one is going to want you anymore. You feel like your value is forever tarnished because of your diagnosis, and those things are simply not true. There are lies that the stigma tells you, and that they are lies that you're telling yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was reading a book last night by Brian Tracy, and he was talking about that, the messages that we give ourselves. And if you just keep saying, I hate myself, that subconscious mind is going to receive that. And you really are going to just be down on yourself, not like yourself, not be able to progress in life. But he's saying just flip it and do the opposite. And you just say to yourself constantly, I love myself.
I love
I
myself.
love myself. And if you just keep telling yourself, I love myself, I love myself, that subconscious mind is going to receive that information that you love yourself.
Yes.
So you have to do what
Yes.
we call, in the motivational world, you got to just self-talk, do that positive self-talk to yourself. And a lot of people, they just
Yes.
are in a state of fear, and and the devil just grabs them around their neck, and they can't say that, that I love myself. So loving, just to say those words, I love myself. Those are some
Yes.
powerful, powerful words that can get you through
Yes.
it. And now, have you ever, when you first were diagnosed, who was the number one go-to person that you felt safe around, your safe harbor, your safe person? You felt like, I got to share this with my blah, blah. Who was that person?
It was my twin sister. So my twin sister was the first person I told. So I got the news by a phone call from the doctor. And then I was at work at the time. And so I own a salon with her and my other business partner. So I was actually at the salon working, and I was on my lunch break. So I took the call, and then I called her outside, and then I just told her immediately, that was the doctor, and they said that I have herpes. And then I just broke down. So she was definitely my rock. She helped. She was just there. I could immediately unleash that weight, that burden that I immediately felt on to her. And for a lot of people, they go years and years and years and years without
Wow.
telling a single soul.
Oh,
And
wow.
so to have her there was super helpful just to be able to carry some of that weight.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that is your not only just your sister, but your fraternal twin sister that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
felt you could share that load, and I'm sure she probably felt the same way that I felt when my sister was diagnosed with cancer, and about it, I almost felt like I had it, and it was like, you know, because we were so close. It was like, you know, I was carrying that load along with her. So you do need a support system, a go-to person. But for people to have a diagnosis and carry it for years and years and years only does, you know, it doesn't do them well at all. Let's see, we have somebody that's visiting with us this evening, Rosemary Chambers. She said a much needed topic to be discussed, a much needed
Absolutely.
topic. And she is like myself, a former educator. And she says that it must be discussed. You know, we just, you know, things that's happening in this world nowadays, we just can't do like we did 30, 40, 50 years ago and just raise the rug up and sweep it under the rug and put the rug down. So that's the end of it. We can't do that anymore. We definitely cannot
Absolutely
do
not.
that. We cannot do that. Okay. You recently, and I'm as I was meddling with your Instagram
As she
page,
was perusing.
I was perusing your Instagram page, and it said that you had done a workshop on diet and remedies. And I know a lot of quacks out there in the world probably putting things out there. They don't really know what they're talking about, because we do know who said this, that let your medicine, you know, take a lot of medicines, but food should be your medicine and not a lot of medications and stuff. So what did you guys discuss in the diet and remedies workshop? You know, what do you do? What do you do to stay beautiful? You're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so
And
much.
just healthy looking, healthy and beautiful. So what do you do? Do you do a herbal thing? Do you eat something? Do you drink? Like myself, I've been, since the pandemic, every morning I've been a good girl. I've been doing turmeric and ginger that I boil in the
Yes.
stove, and I drink a coffee cup, about a fourth of a coffee cup full every morning. So tell us about that workshop, the diet and remedies workshop that you had back in the spring.
Yes, ma'am. So first of all, I want to say there is no known cure for herpes. So there is no way to cure your herpes. Anybody that tells you that there's a cure, it's a scam, it's a lie. So when I got diagnosed, everybody gave me the Dr. Sebi book. Like, here's a alkaline diet. Here are these certain raw foods that you can eat. And while it is true that you can eat a certain diet, that you can practice a certain lifestyle that will put your herpes diagnosis to sleep per se, and it could even be so dormant in your body to where you could test negative for the virus, you are always still positive for the virus. So, but changing certain parts of your diet, but changing certain patterns like your sleeping habits and how you handle stress, and certain foods to stay away from that might contain certain the word is slipping my mind, but certain foods to eat that might trigger your herpes, or that the herpes virus loves to feed on. By avoiding those foods, you can reduce your outbreaks. You can reduce the frequency of them, the intensity of them. And then also on the remedy side, there are antivirals that are able to be taken that could help with the frequency of your outbreaks. And so a lot of people who are diagnosed are given antivirals to either take daily or to take as needed when they're having an outbreak. But a part of the community doesn't want to take any more, like internalize any more pills. So using certain types of natural oils and, carrier oils and raw, like pure grade oils like tea tree, lavender oil, and putting those on your outbreak site could also treat them topically, so you're not having to take medication orally. So in that workshop, we go really into detail with exact foods you can eat and other like the actual mixtures that you can mix together to apply to your outbreak site topically that will help with your herpes diagnosis if you don't want to take anything like prescribed from a doctor, which a lot of people do not. So that's what we talk about in that workshop.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how big, just number wise, how big is your community?
Well, so myself, the Herpes Can Never community is huge. Like we have a reach over around 300,000 between all of our
Wow.
platforms. It's very, very large because a lot of people can relate. Celebrities, and that's my business partner Shayna. So that's our brand that we just did that photo shoot. But celebrities, young, old, black, white, rich, poor, herpes does not discriminate when it decides to come see about you. So many people can relate to us that our platforms are very, very large and expansive, and then there's such a large part of our platform that we don't even know about because they are scared, they are still feeling stigmatized, so they don't want to actually follow us or push that follow button so someone might see that they're following our page. So we also do have a lot of a population that's follows us but doesn't, the numbers doesn't won't reflect that.
So do you have a lot of men?
We have a overwhelming amount of women, but we are growing a community of men. Men are even more stigmatized because men face rejection at a higher rate than women anyway. It's just how life is set up. As a life coach, I can understand that objectively. So when you add something like a herpes diagnosis, it could be even more traumatizing to men than it is for some women to handle. So I am actually talking to a larger community of men, and Herpes Could Never is putting on a workshop in the month of December
Oh,
for
wow.
men living with HIV, HSV, and other who are positive for other STDs. It's just going to be a men's only conversation. So we are on track to make that happen because we do need to be having this conversation with the men, but they're even more living in the shadows because of the rejection.
Almost like being pregnant.
It,
You didn't get pregnant by yourself, okay? You didn't
exactly,
get pregnant by yourself.
exactly.
But
It
all
takes
everybody
two.
puts everything on the woman.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. So we're trying to make everybody like that's why our mission is for our community to feel open to be proud, being open about their status and proud of their sexuality, like men and women. I did not feel comfortable talking about sex before my herpes diagnosis, which is why I got herpes because I did not talk about it. I was just doing it because I didn't feel confident, because I didn't feel worthy, because I thought I was going to get laughed at by him if I brought up sex. Like, hey, so can I see your test results? I thought that I wasn't allowed to ask those questions. I just was like, okay, if I ask that, he's probably gonna think I'm weird and not gonna want to be with me in that way. So my herpes diagnosis helped me realize that I had been selling myself short in so many areas because I didn't realize my own value and I didn't realize the own power of my own truth. So I used it as an opportunity to change all that. And since then, it's just blown everything up. So
Oh, wow, wow. Yes, I
mhm.
can I can imagine. I can imagine, especially going through the pandemic and maybe being diagnosed. Everybody's worrying about the COVID-19, and some
Yes,
some people have been diagnosed not with COVID-19 during the pandemic, but they've been diagnosed with a sexually transmitted disease during the pandemic,
absolutely.
which would probably leave them just like my world is coming to an end.
Isolated, alone, on top of, yeah, now I just have this STD that I can't get rid of or that I'm gonna have for life. Like they literally feel like they have a life sentence on top of, now they have a life sentence where they're doing solitary confinement because it's a pandemic, so they're alone. So absolutely, that's a whole wave of people.
Right, right, right. Well, my technician has put your link there, Amber's
Thank
links,
you.
and I don't think you can see it. I think the audience can see Amber's links
I see
because
it.
you see it
I
because
see it
I'm going.
sliding across.
Right, right, right. And some people may, just be so thankful that they are seeing you tonight and seeing that, how accepted you are of your diagnosis. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I do know that God has picked out people to spread a word of hope, of love, of reconciliation, just everything. He's picked certain people out to do this. And I feel that he has picked you out to do this because when I told, some people that I know, who was going to be on our show. They was like, she is so brave. I really think that is just so wonderful. I just don't know if I could do it. She's just brave. I said, well, she's a special person. She's very, very
Thank
special because
you.
everybody just absolutely positively could not do this. So once again, here we go. Me and my perusing. I love my perusing. And I see that you have a journal.
I
Because
do.
journaling is an excellent thing. I was on the Oprah magazine. They were talking an article last month about journaling and how it can help you in your life and various areas of your life if you journal. So, I try to do it a lot. But tell me about the journal that you have and how do you use this journal?
Yeah, so myself and my partner Shayna, we wrote a journal specifically for the herpes community called Trigger Warning, You Don't Love Yourself. It's called You Don't Love Yourself, and then the tagline is Trigger Warning, It's Not Your Herpes. So it is as I healed and navigated through my healing and journaled in that process, I realized that all of the weight and the blame and the shame and the insecurity and the low self-esteem I was putting on my herpes diagnosis for causing in my life, it wasn't my herpes. I had all of these things buried in me that was there that I had been suppressing, but now that I have herpes, I can blame all of that on my herpes. And so what the journal is, it asks 90 triggering questions. There's 90 triggering journal prompts that really force you to think about your life, think about the decisions you are making, think about your mindset, think about how you yourself view yourself because of your diagnosis, how you yourself have avoided your childhood trauma, avoided your insecurities. And so it's a triggering set of questions, but they are really meant to help lead you to
Would you
some
like to
true.
share just one or two of the questions with the audience? Could you
Oh
do
yeah,
one?
sure.
Yes, one or two other triggering questions.
Yeah, so one of the questions is called the title of it is called You're a HO. That, I mean, because that word is used so much to describe people with STDs, and we want to break the stigma that you don't have to be promiscuous to get an STD. I don't
Mhm,
consider myself to have been promiscuous when I contracted herpes. I was just
mhm.
irresponsible. So the question is, if you equivalate being promiscuous to having an STD, what makes you better or worse than that person? Because here you are, the one with the STD. So really think about stigmatizing other people or judging other people for their decisions, and focus on your decisions and how your decisions have led you to exactly where you are in your life. So we ask you questions, and then we give you an amount of time to write. It's already written out. And then between each journal prompt, we put inspiring quotes to motivate you and encourage you to keep going. And one of my quotes in the book is, this level of healing is not for everybody. So anybody can have access to doing this work, but it is conscious work that you have to make in order to make these progress steps in your life. So that's a part of the journal.
You are so smart. You are
Thank
you
you.
are you are so smart. I tell you, I am so impressed with you. And the people who did not see this show tonight, hopefully they're going to be able to do the what do we call it? The
The
whatever
replay?
rebroadcast of this
Yes,
because they
rebroadcast.
rebroadcast because they're definitely missing out on a lot. Okay, now here comes my friend Rosemary Chambers, a former educator. She says,
Mhm.
definitely, Miss Amber, you are so brave. Thanks for sharing and inspiring and teaching us because you're teaching them just like she and I were once in the classroom. You yourself are teaching people today. Now, here's something that I heard recently, and I don't know if you've heard this, that
Mhm.
there is, like people my age would probably be saying, oh, at my age, people my age couldn't get sexually transmitted disease because I am a baby boomer, I'm a senior citizen. But somebody told me recently we had this discussion, and they said that there is and have you heard this? There's a large outbreak among senior citizens. Have you heard that?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. It's true because of that ignorance that says that because of a certain age, because of just overall ignorance, period, would cause people to believe, or as people get into another season in their life, they might just assume trust because, okay, or they might just desire relationship or companionship so much in older age that they don't ask or they don't have these conversations prior to, but you're still able to carry and pass STDs just like anyone else. But I definitely have heard that, and it is true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I heard. That was pretty amazing to me. But I can see that. I can definitely see that. And they're thinking, I live in a senior citizens apartment, so nothing
Could never be me.
That's right. It definitely could not be me. But yeah, that is what
Yes.
I have definitely heard. Well, I think that you and your partner, what's her name again?
Shayna.
Shayna, the two of you all are doing some great work, and you all got a message that people need to hear. People need to hear and not run away, and holding their hands over their ears and covering their eyes and saying, "I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it." Yeah, but you got to. You definitely have got to.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere because about how many years has it been here? At least 1,000.
It's millions. It's been here forever. Literally, animals have forms of herpes. Like herpes has been around forever.
Ever. Right.
Yes, literally forever. So
right.
yeah.
So where do you see yourself, let's say 5 years down the road? This 5, we're just gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 10, 20. But where do you see yourself in the next 5 years with your platform, with your message? What is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the inside scoop is, herpes can never be global in 5 years. We'll be global before then, but in 5 years, herpes can never be global. We'll have other divisions like HIV could never, any STD could never. We really want to make a movement around being positive about, sexuality and being proud, whatever it is. If your sexuality means you abstain till marriage, if your sexuality means you're free in your sexuality, or that's not what it looks like for you. Whatever it looks like for you to be confident and comfortable. So I see myself at that point being national speaker, international speaker. Like you said, I'm a confidence coach. So I like to coach people around building their confidence up. Herpes was the thing that helped me discover my true self-worth and build my confidence from the ground up. So I know what it's like to have no confidence and to be the most confident I've ever been in my life. I know with those two things, the dynamic. And so I want to encourage as many people down that road of healing so they can reach that point of confidence for themselves. So I see myself being an international speaker, an influencer, something that has to do with talking about Jesus, because he's the reason why I'm here for sure. So whatever that looks like, but for the herpes stigma to truly be broken and we can have these conversations openly and outwardly without people feeling embarrassed or ashamed. And there's the book, which is on Amazon. So if you go to www.herpescannever.com, it's on the homepage. You can get the link to our trigger journal right there. And it's also in the link that is scrolling across the screen. But in 5 years, herpes can never will be a household name.
That's right. Because, well, that's why we need people like you to get that word out to baby boomers and all those other Gen X's and, all those other generations that came after the baby boomers. So we need people like you to just get that word out and have a message for everyone. And I would say in less than 5 years, you will be an international speaker. You will
in the name of Jesus.
Yes. And people are going to call on you, and you will definitely be going around that world, and you're going to be speaking and having a message that the whole world needs to hear. And nothing happens by happenstance because you are selected to do that. Can you give us just 1 or 2 concluding sentences for this evening? Because we have learned, as they said, you took us to church tonight, girl. Tonight, girl.
I can't help it. It's like he's been that good. Like I my video, Herpes Saved My Life. That's what I released on YouTube. At the end of my video, I read the Bible verse, Genesis 50:20, and paraphrasing, it talks about how the enemy can mean something for evil, but God can mean it for good. And that's what my herpes diagnosis was. It was the thing that was meant to break me. It was the thing that was meant to, send me over the edge of no return. But God used that same thing and he restored me in a way that, I'm a new like I've never known before. And I really feel like it's because I allowed him to be God. I allowed him to work in the situation where I couldn't work. So if it was herpes for me, it could be, bankruptcy for you. It could be the single motherhood for you. It could be the fill in the blank for you. But for me, it was herpes. And so God gives each of us opportunities to learn more about who he is and allow him to be God in our lives. And that herpes was that thing for me. And so I just want to encourage you to, learn the lesson in the lessons that God has given you specifically in your life. And because there are so many ways that have, God has even graced and laced even the worst parts of your life with his favor, if you really allow yourself to see that. So I just want to encourage you to do that because like I said, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it brought me here to this stage upon, as well as many others to come. So that's what I want to say.
Oh, that is so wonderful. That is so wonderful. And I'm just so thankful that you came on our show tonight with such an extraordinary message because, as I said, you took us to church. We learned a lot. I'm inspired by you, and you're going far in this world with the platform that you're on. And I just want to say, thank you so much. I'm going to ask my audience just to give me 1 minute, and I'm going to ask you, would you like to come back on our show maybe whenever, next spring, next summer, whatever?
Absolutely. Look, I was going to ask. I didn't want to be tacky. I wanted you to invite me before I just asked.
Well, we're going to listen, and I'm going to hold you to it. Okay.
Yes,
I'm going to hold you to it. All right. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. And God bless you. And thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Miss Norma. Thank you for the invite. You have a great evening.
Okay. You too, hon. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. She was just wonderful. She was absolutely wonderful. And I thank Miss Chambers for her comments that she made this evening also. So once again, we come on the Princess Secrets every Friday night. Next week, we got a really big surprise for you, and it's got a 7 in it. Okay. That's going to be for next Friday night. But I just wanted to remind you once again that we come on every Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. We come on 4 o'clock Pacific, and those 2 time zones in between. We're going to be looking for you next week, and we want you to just enjoy your Friday evening. God bless you. Remember, we're not through with it yet. So continue to wear your mask and continue to say a prayer for the whole wide world. See you next week. Bye-bye.